In this video, we will demonstrate how to successfully flush an air conditioning system when the compressor is being replaced. In our demonstration, we are using an evaporator set up on a demonstration board. This is simply for clarity so that you can easily see and understand what is being done. Of course, in most cases, you will be performing the flush with the evaporator or hoses in the vehicle. Please note that you cannot flush an evaporator through the orifice tube or thermal expansion valve. They must be removed in order to flush. Okay, so let's flush an evaporator. Before we begin, just a reminder to always wear safety goggles and perform the flush in a well-ventilated area. The most difficult evaporators to flush are on thermal expansion valve or TXV systems. This is because the valve must be removed in order to flush the evaporator. The valve is usually mounted flush with the firewall, and when it is removed, it is virtually impossible to attach the flushing tool to the evaporator. A simple workaround for this problem is to convert an old TXV into an inexpensive flush adapter. The internal components of the valve can easily be removed and the liquid port drilled out. A modified valve looks like this. With both the inlet and outlet ports wide open, there is no restriction to flush solvent flow. Now we can attach the modified valve to the evaporator and use an old section of a hose assembly to attach the flush tool to our DIY flush adapter. We have a separate video showing in detail how to convert an old TXV into a flush adapter. We will start by attaching the evaporator inlet to a flush capture container with a clear plastic hose. Next, we add a quart of solvent to the flush canister and connect the universal adapter to the evaporator outlet. Always flush the evaporator in the opposite direction of normal refrigerant flow. Before connecting the shop air supply, check that the shutoff valve and the pressure regulator are both closed. Turn the regulator knob all the way counterclockwise. Now, connect the shop air supply to the flush canister and raise the air pressure to 40 psi. Be sure to use dry shop air. Next, open the shutoff valve and allow the solvent to flow through the evaporator. Check and readjust the pressure to 40 psi if necessary. Monitor the color and condition of the solvent as it leaves the evaporator. You may need to repeat the flush several times until all traces of contamination have been removed and the solvent flows clean and clear. When all the solvent has been expelled from the flush canister, raise the air pressure to 80 psi and continue to purge the evaporator with dry shop air for an additional 30 minutes. This will ensure that all flush and oil residue are completely removed from the evaporator. Notice how the universal adapter allows us to seamlessly transition from flush to air purge without allowing the momentum through the evaporator to slow. Also, with the universal adapter, we do not need to be present during the air purge process. When air purge is complete, close the air pressure regulator and then the shutoff valve. Confirm that pressure on the gauge is 0 before disconnecting the air supply. The proof is in the pudding. As you can see here, there is absolutely no solvent or oil residue left in this evaporator. Individual lines and hoses that are not being replaced will also need to be flushed. However, in some cases, when you take into account the cost of flush solvent and the labor to perform the flush, it may actually be more cost efficient to replace the lines and hoses rather than to flush them. This is because microleaks at hose crimps are often the cause of the low charge that caused the lack of lubrication and compressor failure in the first place, and it may not be possible to leak check the system until it has been repaired and recharged. We hope that this video has helped you understand how to properly flush an air conditioning system to ensure a comeback-free repair when the compressor is being replaced.